What is going on,
fellow players?
Wait, I almost started a Flipshine video. I almost said, what is going on, fellow players? How do we start our thing?
However you want to start it.
Why am I drawing a blank? Why am I drawing a blank?
Normally we just start with, hello, welcome.
That's it. Welcome. That's right. Hello, and welcome to the show with no name. I'm your host, the most, D with the dosed. That doesn't rhyme, and it's not a real word, but my name is Daniel. Welcome to the show with no name. I'm joined again with my host, B, a.k.a. Brendan, a.k.a. The B, a.k.a. Crazy Irishman. I don't know what you want to call him, but most of the time we just refer to him as B. B, I have a question for you today. And like most questions that I ask in this show, I also have a story that goes along with it first before I ask that question. So let me dive into that first, and then we'll get to the question. So recently, I have done quite a bit of traveling. I've gotten the opportunity to fly a couple of different times to South Dakota to visit my girlfriend Renee, as well as upcoming next month, I get the opportunity to travel to Hawaii, where I will also be seeing my girlfriend Renee on a quick little vacation thing that we'll be taking. And even before that, last year, I had an opportunity to travel for my work a couple of different times. And it's interesting, I noticed that there are certain things about traveling that if you've done it enough, you just kind of know that this is what's expected. And I'll get into this in a little bit, but just as a quick example, like for instance, you know that you're going to have to go through security, TSA in the United States. It might be something different in other countries, but in the United States, when you travel, you go through TSA, and you know, without a shadow of a doubt, you got to take your shoes off when you go through that. Because they want to make sure that you're not bringing anything through that's going to take a chunk out of the plane that's in your shoes, in the soles of your shoes. So you just know that that's part of it. In a conversation that I had recently with my girlfriend, I found out that in her years, she has not traveled that much. She's not had very many opportunities to take plane ride travels or go places. Not to say that she doesn't know what takes place in those traveling experiences, but some of those things were kind of new to her. And so what I thought was, how about this is a great opportunity. This show represents a great opportunity that there are some nuances that you go through in travel. And I want to know, in your traveling experiences, what are some of Brendan's top advice for people who want to travel, who have never traveled before? What's some things that they should expect, and how should they plan for the travel, for the trip ahead?
Number one, above all else, never travel through Charles de Gaulle Airport. It is the worst airport in the world.
I don't even know what that is. I've never been there.
You've been there, didn't you? Weren't you when we went to Romania? Didn't we? We flew from. I think we flew from either LaGuardia or JFK to Charles de Gaulle, which is in Paris, France.
Oh, maybe we did.
We flew to Budapest. No, we flew into Hungary. Yeah, Budapest, Hungary.
We
flew into.
I don't remember.
Right, but it was so.
You got to remember though. When we took this trip, though, I was 13 years old. I don't remember much of this trip, but I do know that I remember some things. But I don't remember a whole lot about the traveling experience. I just remember feeling so exhausted with traveling. Traveling was such a pain.
It was Charles de Gaulle Airport. I remember that was where our stopover was once we hit. That was where our first European stopover was, because we were in a gate area and we found a newspaper, and the headline was "The Spurs won," because Tony Parker was the point guard for the San Antonio Spurs that year.
That's right.
And so we all had photos of us because we were from San Antonio.
With the newspaper.
So it was Charles de Gaulle. So every time I've been through Charles de Gaulle Airport, it is a total fiasco. It's a total muck up, screw up, everything. The people are rude. It's horrible. And I'm like,
you say this like you go there once a month or something. And it's you've only been there twice maybe?
No, I've been there 3-4 times.
Okay, now do you travel through France, going to Ireland or something like that?
No, that was let's see, that was JFK to what was the name of the airport that we flew in Ireland? It was oh my gosh, it was I forget it. If I heard it, I'd know it, but it's kind of southwest of Dublin.
Well, it doesn't really matter. I'm more curious. When did you fly through?
So when we flew to Romania, we went there. When I went to Czech Republic, we flew through there. When the first time I went to Moldova, we flew into Berlin. I believe it was Berlin. The second time we went there, we flew in through Charles de Gaulle. And there was another time where we flew in there. I took a vacation with my parents one time. We did like a European vacation, and we flew into Charles de Gaulle, but we flew out of London. Yeah, we flew out of Heathrow. And it was just, I just remember every time. And when I went to the Czech Republic, it was by myself. And I just remember looking at my itinerary, and it was like Charles de Gaulle Airport. And I'm like, oh no. And I remember being there by myself, kind of walking around. And even coming back, I'm like, I so hate I've only been here so what was it, 5 times? I was like, I so hate this place. Every time it is just a mess. It's a total,
It's crazy to think that you remember that much about one particular airport that you've had to go through, that you just know that it's just that bad. So let me ask then, so this, again, you got to treat this as in, these are people who may not have ever traveled before.
Okay, no.
And they may not have an option. So what is bad about it? What's bad about the airport? What's that awful that just makes it, is there anything that...
I still have this memory of it. I can't remember everything that was bad about it, but I do have this memory about it that we were transferring. So we had landed, we had come from somewhere. I think we were actually going back to the States. And I say we, I don't necessarily mean me and other people who were traveling with me. I mean all the people who were trying to catch this flight, I believe, back to
the United States,
the U.S. And it was a total mess up. Things were like, hey, this is not the gate. You got to go down to that gate. And then we go down to that gate, and they're like, what are you talking about? This isn't even the same airline. We don't, you're like, what? And that's, because we're looking at it, and you're like, Delta, you got to go down to gate 27. We get down to 27, and it says something like United. And we're like, I don't think these two are united, literally, figuratively. So, and then they're like, no, it's the plane leaves in 20 minutes, and it's at another, what do they call this? I guess,
terminal?
Another terminal. And there's probably 70 or 80 of us. And I remember this one lady who... That's got
to be like half the plane.
Right, no, exactly. It was a massive... I remember the line.
Like, you don't think that, like, at one point they're boarding people, and it's like, the takeoff is in 10 minutes, right? And they're like, dude, did you not notice that, like, half our airplane is empty?
This is how...
I'm pretty sure this was a sold-out plane.
This is how boarding went. Pretty sure... yeah, y'all can get on now.
You can... There's not enough of you to really organize, so I don't care if you're first class or group 5. Right. Everyone rush the door at once. I guarantee you will get a seat that you want to be in.
Handicap? Okay, everybody else, get on. Right? It was. I remember this mess, and fortunately for me, we were like a parade, and I was up at the front of this. There were maybe 3 people in front of me, and we had one of the, I don't want to say flight attendants, but one of the attendants. She was like a rep for the airline, and she was winding us through Charles de Gaulle Airport. And people are speaking French and all these other languages, mostly French though. And you hear this stuff, and the people who are behind people are just whining and complaining about the whole situation. And again, it was worse than what it was. And it's typical. People are going to be whining.
Sure.
And me, I'm just sitting there thinking...
of course, it's a matter of impatience and wanting to just get on the plane like, go home. I just want to get home.
I just want to get... Exactly. You're at a point... When you're headed home, anything that gets in your way... That's part of the traveling thing is... When you're headed home, any tiny little obstacle is the biggest, massive frustration because you're like, my trip's over and I'm going home.
Sure. Well, and not only is the trip over, but you know how much you spent on those tickets just to get home.
Yes, exactly.
So you're like, dude, if I'm going to spend all this money, can they just like serve me caviar and like I should have my own captain's quarters. There should be someone riding me around, like taking me around the airport in a golf cart.
Exactly.
Like forget the golf cart. There should be 4 men holding me up in like a priest chair
one of those
or something, like someone carrying me around. Like it just once you get to that point of the trip, which if you haven't traveled before, I know exactly what you're talking about. You get to the end of that trip and you're just like, I'm just going home. I'm done.
Right,
I just
stop,
want to be
please.
home. I just want to be
you're
home.
out of clean clothes. Right,
exactly. You're right. Pretty much. No, it's true. You may have not have planned appropriately. In fact, this last trip that I just went on, it's funny because it's like I packed enough underwear and pants and socks and shoes, but I didn't have enough shirts. And I don't know why I didn't have enough shirts. I'm like, how did I pack for like a week's worth of stuff? I had more than enough pants, but I'm like, I only packed like 3 shirts. What was I expecting? Did I think that my I thought maybe my hotel might have a washer and a dryer, which
they
some
should.
do. They should. Maybe that's something that hotels should start investing in, and I think some of them do, but I don't think enough of them do. But anyway, we're getting a little bit off topic. The point of this whole thing is just I know that there's a bunch of little nuances, and I wanted to give some of my insight as far as just a few things that I think can help out. Now, keep in mind, when we say traveling, we're kind of specifically talking about airline travel. There are plenty of other ways to travel. Brennan, you and I, we've spent a lot of time on trains before. We've been on buses before. I've traveled by cab before, by Uber, if you know what Uber or Lyft are, which I think those are worldwide. Maybe they're only in the United States, but I want to say...
They may only be U.S. or Canada.
I think that might only be U.S., but if you aren't familiar, it's like a rideshare program where just some dude has a car and he's got an extra 5 hours that that he can chart people around, so you go through this app and pay for his services. Anyway, the point of what I'm trying to say is I've traveled a lot of different ways in my time, and the fastest way to travel, but probably the most inconvenient way to travel is by airline. Now, when I say most inconvenient, I just feel like you run into so many things. And if you've never traveled before, it could be a huge headache once you get to, the terminal for the first time. You're not sure where you're supposed to go, what you're supposed to do. So here is some of Daniel's guide to traveling with less stress.com. I don't know why I added a .com on there, but go to that website. I'm sure it exists. So
we cannot find the site you're looking for. Care to purchase it?
Some of these might seem pretty obvious, but just to a person who hasn't traveled, it may not be something obvious. Wear comfortable clothing. That is probably my biggest thing.
Man.
Wear comfortable clothing. I know a lot of people want to dress to impress when they go out, and they don't want people to look at them weird and stuff like that. But wear something that you will feel comfortable in, because keep in mind, there will be moments where you will feel claustrophobic on the plane. There will be moments when you might feel even violated while going through TSA. So wear something that you feel comfortable wearing in any situation. And I know it's kind of very broad, but for me personally, I will always wear something like a t-shirt and jeans. That's just the most comfortable that I could possibly get. Also, when it comes to clothing, wear shoes that can we talked about this already, that you're going to have to take off your shoes anyway. Wear shoes that are really easy to put on and take off. I've worn shoes before that are really hard to tie, and they take a little while. And once you get through security and you've got like 2 benches for like 800 people to like sit down and put their shoes back on, you definitely feel a little bit like a jerk when you're taking a little bit longer to tie that extra lace and go through that extra loop that you didn't even know existed.
Like 4 infants. And then
exactly.
You're like,
I'm so sorry. Seconds. Hang on a second, please. I just need to get this tied.
The guy with 1 leg and everything. Exactly. You're like, all right. Sorry.
And then you've got the extra TSA agent who's standing on the side like, come on, dude, move along, please. Can you just like move, please? Anyway.
That's right.
So definitely wear
It's like, what is your job? My job is to get people moving along. You need to be at the front of the line getting people to move along. Not back here.
So definitely wear comfortable clothing and wear shoes that can be easily taken on and off, because you may have to take them on and off. Now, this one might seem a little obscure, but I learned this in the last 2 times that I traveled, how much more I appreciated this. Now, this is going to seem a little odd. Wear a shirt with a pocket on it. I know that sounds a little obscure, but you will be carrying a boarding pass with you. I don't care where you live in the world. You will carry a boarding pass unless you want to, go really advanced and go to the digital age and just put everything on your phone, which I know they do that. I've done that before. The reason I don't trust it is because sometimes you have to pull up your email. You may not have the best service in the airport. Your phone might die or something like that. So I will always, always, always have a paper copy of my boarding pass, whether I printed it off at home, which that's extremely helpful. That helps you out through the process, or whether I printed it out at the airport. I will have a copy of my boarding pass with me at all times. Having that extra shirt pocket is so helpful because you're going to be carrying your ID on you. You're going to have receipts from the coffee that you bought, the overpriced coffee in the terminal that you bought, the receipt from the Snickers bar that you got in the last airport that you visited. You're going to have
I misinterpreted that when you said Snickers bar. I thought you actually meant like a bar. That's Snickers as opposed to the actual candy bar. At the receipt at the Snickers bar, I'm like, there's a Snickers bar?
That's a really great bar, man. Serving up
what
the finest.
Take a guess.
Take a guess. It's right there in the title. There's a lot of different kinds. That actually brings up the question. I'm curious how many different kinds of Snicker bars there are out there. I bet there's at least.
You've seen them now. They at least have different wrappers with their advertising campaign where they're like Surly,
the peanut one.
No, because they're one like, hey, have a so-and-so have a Snickers. Why? Because you turn into a right jerky Stein when you
right jerky Stein. You better coin that phrase before somebody else thinks of it. That's good.
You're a jerk, or you're surly, or you're fidgety, or whatever, right? And they have the ads with. I'm trying to remember who's in some of these ads. I don't remember. Or you're a right diva, or whatever. And so on the cover of the wrapper of the Snickers bar, it'll say diva or sleepy or whatever adjective is there, right? That you're but it's the same bar. So I noticed that they've had different wrappers at least. Anyway, I don't know what this has to do with airports, but continue.
I was just saying you're going to be carrying a lot of things with you, like receipts and your ID and your wallet, and you're going to be, once you go through security, you're going to be stuffing things back in your pocket like earbuds and things like that, just to get through. Having that shirt pocket that carries only one thing, I only put one thing in my shirt pocket, and that's my boarding pass. And the reason I do that is that when I'm in a pinch and I can't remember what gate I'm supposed to go to, or I'm standing in line to get up to the front and I can't remember where I put my boarding pass, I always know it's in the same spot because it's the only pocket that I use for my boarding pass. It's extreme. I don't know why that helped out, but this last trip that I went on, I remember I got to my last plane and I'm like, where the heck is my boarding pass? I'm like patting myself down. Like I'm doing security's job. I'm patting myself down, making sure I'm trying to find my boarding pass. And then I remembered, I'm like, wait a minute. I put a pocket on my shirt just for this opportunity. I reached in and sure enough, there was my boarding pass.
Watch me pull a boarding pass out of my hat.
Watch me pull it.
There it is.
Extremely helpful piece of advice. At least I feel like it's helpful for me, and hopefully it'll be helpful for you. Brendan, are there any other things that you can think of as far as going through?
I love the backpack. I'm a fan of the small backpack. Like the school backpack, not like the massive backpack that you take on the Appalachian Trail.
That's true. Actually, now that I think about that, some people will bring on, so most planes let you bring on a carry-on as well as a small bag, like a backpack or a purse or something like that. I say to women, forget the purse. I know that sounds crazy, but
pack your purse.
Pack your purse. Put the purse in your bag and take out the wallet portion and just carry that with you if you need to buy something or something like that. But don't carry your purse around because now you have this awkward thing anyway. The backpack, perfect idea. Carry everything on your back.
You can put the backpack, you can put it up on the overhead, or you can put it below where your
underneath
feet
your
are,
seat,
right?
Exactly, because it'll fit.
Exactly
most of the time it'll fit. Depends on which size you get, but don't get anything oversized.
You want to have jam-packed, because obviously if it's jam-packed, you can't put it in the below where your feet are, because now you're stuck in that space. But when you go on vacation and you have your backpack, now you have your backpack with you like, hey, let's go down to, let's put some stuff on the backpack and we can now...
Let's go to the beach, and now we can carry a beach towel with us.
You got all your, right? It's great. You have special allergies or medicinal or food. What is it? Some people have like certain food allergies and like foods that they got to eat and whatnot. You just stick all that
exactly.
in there.
So
you
stick what you need. Yeah,
you got it's got all the little pockets, like you're saying, like this we store here, that we store there. I'm a big fan of the backpack, and I typically pack the night before, and I'll have my clothes laid out, so I have everything's packed.
Yep.
Usually the day before, and then the night before I lay out my clothes. That way I'm like, okay, just get in this, and ta-ting, I'm good to go.
Sure. No, awesome. So now we're talking about pre-planning too, is the stuff that you can do ahead of time.
Course.
Which, on the topic of pre-planning, for those of you who have never traveled before, let me explain to you how boarding works, because this is probably an important thing. We've kind of referenced this a little bit throughout this episode. First off, there will be so many different boarding groups that you didn't even know could even exist. There will be gold member and platinum member and first come first serve member and women and children and
like,
you didn't even know that there were so many different boarding groups, and you will probably be in the worst one.
That's right.
So just keep that in mind ahead of time. Right. So when you go to book your flight, a lot of times they will let you pick your seat sometimes. It depends on what airline. Some airlines, they're open seating. One of the most popular ones in the southwest region of the United States is a company called Southwest, and they do open seating. So it's pretty much first come, first serve. And so in those ones, you definitely want to be in the higher boarding group because you get to pick your seat. Or you pick your seat as you walk onto the plane. But for a lot of other companies, you buy the seat ahead of time, but it's still nice to get on the plane a little bit earlier than other people so you can find your space to put your stuff, because you will not be holding it on the plane. They will not let you hold on to it during takeoff and landing and everything.
And avoid, as much as you can, avoid those little tiny prop planes that have like about 20 to 25 people in them. They are the worst.
Well, sometimes you don't get a choice. True. It depends on where you're flying. You're right,
but if you can avoid them, and those stink sometimes because I'll sit in them, and my seat is the window seat, but it's also like the wheel well seat, so my feet are up like 10 inches, and so my knees are up over my I'm just kind of like, I have no leg room, nothing to do. I'm just gonna stare at my knees all flight.
I have more space in my closet at home. So when it comes to boarding, make sure that you plan ahead, because most airlines, the way that it works is that 24 hours before your flight, you can log on and you can check yourself in for boarding. And depending on how soon you do that determines what boarding group you will be in. Now, unless you are willing to pay extra or unless you fly a lot, you will not be in one of the first couple of groups that get to board. Those first groups are reserved for people who are platinum members or gold members, people who spend extra money to be part of it, or people who spend extra money to fly first class. If you can afford first class, I would always say fly first class. They are treated completely different than anybody else on the plane.
In case of like severe turbulence, you know, when the stewardess pulls that curtain across so you can't see in a first.
Yeah.
In case of turbulence, that part of the plane like detaches, and it just it's like, see y'all later. We're actually going to the destination. We don't know about y'all.
We're gonna go to the destination. You guys chill out on Castaways Island back there.
Sorry, we can only save some of y'all, and it's the first class y'all.
It's the first class group. They paid extra. They make it to the destination. You enjoy Wilson.
Some of you may
there.
not have inflatable flotation devices.
Not the first class. They all have it, but some of you back there may not have it.
We took some of yours to put them in the first class ones so that they'd have two each.
So when you get to the 24-hour mark, if you did not already pay for first class, or you are not a platinum, gold, or woman with carrying a small child, then you will be in a group. It's usually groups 1 through like maybe 5, and obviously the earlier the group, the better. I will let you know, don't expect to be in group 1 because that almost sells out within the first 30 seconds of hitting the 24-hour mark. Like they just disappear. Yep. It's like they didn't even exist. Right. I think I've been in group 1, or some airlines call it group A. I think I've been in that once in my entire time of traveling. It's always going to be group B or group 2 and beyond. I don't think I've ever gotten in that first boarding group. So hard to get in there because there's always those people that are like waiting to they're like waiting for their
refresh
their
F5. F5.
Refresh F5. Exactly. F5, 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 F5. Okay, board. Put me on the plane. I want that
bored
spot.
Is right. These people are bored if they're sitting around F5.
They're bored.
Get a life, man. Come on. Hey, I see all you people in group 1. Y'all don't have a life. That's who y'all are.
Also, be wary that people are very... I can't think of any other way to put it other than to say rude when boarding a plane.
Yes, that's sad.
They are so ready to stake their claim and stake their spot that they will, even if they are boarding number A22 and you're A18, they will still put themselves in front of you because they're like, oh, we're close enough. What does it matter? It doesn't really matter.
Like, come on.
It doesn't even matter. So just mentally prepare yourself for that.
All right, so here's a question. This happens every flight, and I don't understand why. But there's always somebody seated in someone else's spot, right? So you come up, and it's happened to me maybe once or twice in all the times I've flown. So I'm fortunate. But it's always somebody that comes and goes, "Hi, 22. That's me. I'm 22B right here," and they're holding up their boarding pass, 22B,
their
right?
Ticket.
And the guy's like, "Oh, and I'm just sitting there thinking, what went through your brain that you thought I'll just sit here? That's not your seat. You have a boarding pass that has a...
You have a boarding pass that has your seat
You're
number on it.
75C. Go back to 7... and they're just like, oh, right here's good. What do you think? Why
right
do you
here.
think that,
this looks
why
good.
does this happen?
I have seen it before where people get confused because the row, like for instance, this did happen to me on one. The row was 21, and there was A through C on one side, and D, E, and F on the other side. And the person had a boarding pass for 21A, and they sat in 21F instead because they thought it was on the opposite side of the plane. So I've seen that before, and I even remember when it happened, I even told the dude, I'm like, hey, listen, we're technically in the same seat. It's just one's on one side of the plane and one's on the other. So I don't care if you want to just stay there. Just stay there. And he goes, oh, no. What's right is right. What's right is right. He just like kind of crab shuffled his way over to the other seat and then sat down. And I'm like,
he didn't like wave surf over there. Like, all right, everybody, get ready. Carried him over with him.
No, if you know, based off of the space, you pretty much just can only crab walk on planes. That's like the only way to walk.
And everybody stared at you because at that moment you're the only entertainment going on, right? You're like,
exactly,
people talking.
Exactly. There's movement going on. I need to watch this. Speaking of movement, once the plane does start moving, one of the things that all planes will do, and I know it's part of safety regulations and everything like that, they will go through a series of safety features, talking to you about buckling, like how the seatbelt works, how the air mask will work if the cabin loses air pressure, what happens if we have to make a water landing, things like that. They'll go through all that. It is the same speech.
Every time.
It is the exact same speech. Once you have ridden one plane, you never need to listen to that again. Right. I know.
Has this changed in the last
what their
30
purpose
years?
is.
No? All right, headphones on.
I know that people are entertained because there's movement going on the plane, that people are waving their hands around. But even the stewardesses that do it, they know 95% to 99% of this plane has heard this message at least 87 times in their life. They do not need to hear this again.
What are they thinking? They're like, this is the 15th time I've said it today.
I'm more curious. Here's the thing. Why can't they just have that listed down as something you have to read and acknowledge when you purchase a ticket?
That's not.
Why do they have to do it on the plane? Why is it done?
Some airlines do have this where they have, now please direct yourself to the video screen in front of you. So the seat in front of you, and then they go, hi, here's how you collect the thing. Here's the gas mask comes down. Here's the float. So that, I'm like, cool.
I just want to know, if you are old enough and smart enough to pay...
Right, exactly.
Whatever, $200, $300, $500 on a plane ticket. You don't think I know how to buckle my seatbelt? Like, if you don't know how to buckle your seatbelt, you shouldn't have bought that ticket in the first place. You shouldn't even be traveling. In fact, do you even know what your destination is? Or are you just jumping on a random plane thinking, wherever I land, that's where I'm going to be now?
I've told you, there have been times where I've been on a plane, and they'll say, like, this is a nonstop flight to Chicago. We'll be there or something. And I'm like, wait, I bought tickets to San Antonio. Right? And I'm like, hey, where's the flight going? Chicago? And I got to stop one of those stewardesses. I'm like, hey, where's this plane going? Oh, we're going to here first, and then we're going to Nashville and then San Antonio. And I'm like, okay.
Then we go to Chicago. It's like, that's the last stop.
Just
on
the
this
thing outside
well,
said
he just
San
said,
Antonio, and then now you're saying Chicago.
He said nonstop.
Right.
I need you to stop, all right? I need a drop off.
On the
Please
way
don't
from
take
DC
me to Chicago.
Chicago, could we just loop down into Texas?
Actually, you know what? Just hand me a parachute. I'm fine, just as long as nothing gets damaged when I'm
and I'll
hurling
need my
down to
gear,
Earth.
my check on stuff.
My check on, exactly. All right. So what did we cover here? We covered TSA, going through security. We covered comfortable clothes. One of the things I guess that we didn't really cover is what to pack, I guess, as far as traveling and, how many bags that you should pick. Because there's nothing I hate more than feeling like I have too many things that I'm trying to juggle as I'm going through the airport. And it depends on where you're going and for how long, but I think it's probably safe to say that most people who are going to travel, if they travel for work or they travel for a vacation, it's going to be about a week. I think that's probably a fair medium to say, because some may be traveling for a couple of days, some might be going for 2 weeks, but I think it's fair to say that on average, most people are traveling for about a week. Now, I don't know who you are, dear listener, and how many different options of clothing you have, but it is in your best interest to only pack for a week. Don't pack 9 different outfits for every single day because you will have too much. Most airlines only allow you to travel with a bag of 50 pounds or lighter, and the more clothes and more things that you stuff in there, the less likely it is that you're going to be able to put that bag on the plane. In addition to that, it's always good to have a little bit of space anyway, because most of the time when the destination that you're going to get to, you're going to buy souvenirs or you're going to get a shirt that you found at a mall or something like that, and you're going to want to put it in the bag. And if you didn't offer yourself any opportunity or any space, it's not going to fit. Even furthermore than that, even if you don't buy anything, when you pack it the second time on the way home, you won't pack it the same way that you did with the same precision. How did this fit? I got everything here. How come I can't get it all back home? Exactly, it just doesn't make any sense.
Keep going.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I forget his name. I wish I could credit him, but I've heard the guy who does a travel show, and he has said if his trip is a week or a week plus, he will have his luggage shipped. Right, so he'll call like FedEx and be like, "Ship this to X hotel or X destination."
Interesting.
And then his last day, he calls FedEx or Express, or I guess FedEx is Express.
That's got to be more expensive, though, depending on where you go through.
Yeah, it may be. Since I think it costs a little bit more, but you have the peace of mind. It gets there in time, and what you don't have to hassle with it of carrying it through security and the airport.
Yes, but then you have the fear of showing up at your hotel and not having a bag.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so I don't know how far ahead in advance you have to ship this. It's not like you're like, I leave today and I get there today. I get this there today.
I'm gonna drop it off at UPS and they're gonna get it there. Just ship it there. You guys can get it there, right? I mean, you got a plane that's headed out to
he swears
Pakistan
by this.
or wherever.
So if you're going to like a wedding in Maui, right? People are going to be like, well, I want my beach clothes. I want my clothes for the wedding, right? Especially women. Women are going to want a nice dress for the wedding, so they're going to have to I want to have to pack this, that, and the other thing. So he's like, here, just ship it ahead. But now shipping FedEx to like Maui might be, I don't know.
Yeah, I have a feeling that they
yourself to Maui. It's probably cheaper. And while you're at it, I'm gonna
which I'm pretty sure.
Package. Drill a little hole there.
You just show up at FedEx. Yeah, I'd like to ship this package. It's empty. Well, that's because I'm not in it yet. I want you to tape the box shut. Oh, wait, hang on a second. I didn't poke any holes in it yet. Hang on, let me do this.
If you were to ship something that was about yay big and weighed about X weight, it cost this much. Print that out, slap it on my forehead.
Pretty sure that all shipping companies have a strict policy against not shipping anything that is alive.
That's right.
In fact, I think that even includes things like plants. I don't even think you can ship a plant. Maybe you can. I don't know. I'm assuming they well, I guess now that I think about it, they have to ship plants somehow. I don't know. I mean, how do you get a
Now you get a ficus,
like a palm tree? How do you get a palm tree from like South Beach, Florida, or something to like Minnesota that has no palm trees? Like you got to put it on a truck and ship it. Yeah,
shipping it
so
to one
maybe
degree or another. right? Because you can
Okay,
order
maybe
animals.
it's just-
You can order it's not like Amazon. You're like, I'll take 6 cats, dogs,
9 gerbils,
not that kind of.
And you know what? Put a boa constrictor on there. That might be good. Those gerbils will act as good food.
The airline will, excuse me. The airline will ship animals, and I know about it because they're like, hey, I had a person I work with. His girlfriend wanted a specific. She's like, no, I want this specific cat, which was in Tennessee, and so they had to have it flown from Tennessee up here, and then he had to go to the airport and pick it up.
All right, so maybe it's just strictly based, which I'm sure with the shipping of animals, I'm sure PETA had a field day about that.
You can't ship
I'm sure
beings.
it's probably just shipping human beings.
That won't work.
That's probably where the line is.
We adopted someone from. Yeah, we'll just ship them over.
We'll just ship them. We already printed out the label, and we don't want to waste this paper, so we might as well just do that.
That's right.
It's probably, you know what, now that I think about it, shipping a human being probably would be cheaper than, buying a plane ticket. I just think that there's probably a lot of human rights
that would go
activists
crazy,
that would not.
I would go crazy if people were shipping you. No, that's not.
No, don't ship
drive.
me. I don't want to be. I'll drive. It's across the ocean. I don't care.
I'll find a way.
I'll swim. I'll swim if I have to. It's just not going to happen. Anyway, I don't know if this podcast was helpful. I doubt it. For the average listener, I'm fairly certain most people who are listening to this have probably traveled before. But for the people who have not traveled, please heed some of the words that we have given. And hopefully it'll help you if you ever have to travel.
I only had 2 solid bits of advice the whole episode, man. Backpack and stay away from Charles de Gaulle Airport.
You know what? I really
Everything
only
else they
have
could be like,
one.
whenever B's talking, just fast forward that. Just skip.
I really only have 2 pieces of advice too. Number 1, the shirt pocket. I'm dead serious about that. And number 2, have patience. Right. I know that may seem obvious, but really, traveling is a pain. There is a lot of people, I think a lot of people agree on this. I've heard this so many times that a lot of people say, I love airports, I hate flying.
That's me.
Like because there's so many nuances that you run into. And I know I've already said that word, but there really isn't a better word that describes it. There's just so many nuances that you will run into in traveling that I just think the best piece of advice that I could probably give is just to have patience. Plan, prepare, patience. I gave it 3. I just realized that I increased it to 3. So
Plan, prepare,
there's
patience,
3.
Triple P.
Plan, prepare,
That's
patience.
Good because
which I think
you shove all these people.
But isn't planning and preparing like the same thing? So maybe
prepare.
Just prepare, plan and prepare.
I guess
and
they
patience.
are the same thing. But if you break them up like plan, patience, prepare, then now it sounds like they're 2 totally different things.
Now it sounds like they're 2 totally different things.
Patience, prepare. Oh, I like this guy. He's got good stuff. We need to hire him.
He's got good
20
stuff.
million a year.
We should hire. I need to find that $20 million a year where you can say the same thing and still get paid $20 million.
You just got to Tony Robbins it. Hey, all right, okay, I got 3 things for you. Plan. You got it, Tony.
You got it. All right. That being said, Brendan, do you have any final words for this episode?
This was fun. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much again for tuning in. Thank you for listening to the show with no name, and be sure to tune in the future. Thank you.